Today we're going to talk about different kinds of pairs of angles. Our vocabulary for today are adjacent angles. Adjacent means next to, linear pair, complementary angles, supplementary angles, and vertical angles. Many pairs of angles have special relationships. Some relationships are because of the measurements of the angles in the pair. Other relationships are because of the position of the angles in the pair. Adjacent angles are two angles in the same plane with a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. So 1 and 2 are adjacent angles because they do not overlap, but they do share the center ray. A linear pair of angles is a pair of adjacent angles whose non-common sides are opposite rays. So a linear pair is a pair of angles that are next to each other and make a line. So let's look at an example here. We're going to tell whether the adjacent angles are only adjacent and form a linear pair, or are not adjacent. Here we have AEB and BEC. AEB and BEC are adjacent. They are next to each other, and EB is the ray that they share. However, they do not make a linear pair because if you put AEB and BEC next to each other, they do not form a line. How about DEC and AEB? These angles are not adjacent, they are not next to each other because they do not share any rays, and they are not a linear pair because you cannot have a linear pair if they're not adjacent. How about in this picture? We have angle 5 and angle 6. They are next to each other, they share the ray PU, and they do form line QT, so they are adjacent and a linear pair. Okay, so now we have some complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees. Angle A and angle B are complementary. Supplementary angles are two angles whose measure have a sum of 180 degrees. A and C are supplementary. You can find the complement of an angle that measures x degrees by subtracting its measure from 90. So if you have, for example, an angle that is 25 degrees, you would do 90 minus 25, which would give you a measure of 65 degrees for the complement. You can find the supplement of an angle that measures x degrees by subtracting its measure from 180. So if you had a measure of 60 degrees, you would take 180 minus 60, and the supplement of 60 would be 120 degrees. Another angle pair relationship exists between two angles whose sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So you have two lines crossing at an x. Please make sure that when you do this, you have two straight lines. Neither of the lines can be bent. They have to be two perfectly straight lines, and they form vertical angles. So in this picture, angles 1 and 3 are vertical, and angles 2 and 4 are vertical. So they're on opposite sides of the x. Now we want to name the pair of vertical angles here. HML is one pair with JMK, and HMJ is vertical to LMK. The great thing about vertical angles is that they're congruent. So vertical angles are always congruent. Now we're going to look at our lesson quiz. Go ahead and take some time, see if you can answer these questions, and then check your answers, and we'll do more problems like this during class tomorrow to practice.